Hello and welcome to Screen Source's Avengers Infinity War review. My name is Dylan.
I'm Blacksmith.
And we also have a producer on mic back there, Mr.
This is Digi. I'm not on camera, but I am certainly here.
He is certainly here, disembodied voice, our Marvel expert, one might even say. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened in this movie. Spoiler review, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's spoil the shit out of this.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm going to ask you initially, how did you feel going into this movie?
Oh, going into the movie? Man, I felt confident.
Confident
is what I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't go into a Marvel movie anymore thinking, I don't know how this is going to go.
Sure. Yeah. They've done 18 more or less solid films.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and definitely more rather than less. I'd say like Ragnarok is, or no, I'm sorry, not Ragnarok for sure. The second Thor.
Yeah.
Dark World, probably one that I would skip a
Honestly,
rewatch
I
on.
love Thor: The Dark World.
Man, we are total opposites. I kind of love it though.
Yeah. It's a good dynamic. But you also have to count the one of the Hulks is also canon in the MCU.
Yes, it's like the second or third one.
The Edward Norton one.
Yes.
The most recent Hulk movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And
not the Ang Lee one, I don't believe.
No, the most recent actor that we have for the Hulk has not had his own standalone film yet, and apparently that's he's being locked up by his he's being locked up by another studio or something of that nature. There's been a problem with being able to get him to have his own solo film.
Oh wow, that sucks.
It does
So it's
suck.
like Mark Ruffalo just himself. That's why he can't do it.
Yeah, that's why we've gone 18 movies without him.
Oh wow.
So that's what I hear. At least that's the word on the street. So I will say that walking into this, yes, of course, it was going to be good. The trailers were great. From what I had known and learned of Thanos, this was going to be clearly a film that has him prominently. And that he wasn't going to be this hidden thing at the end, or at least not anymore.
Yeah.
And that actually is end up what happening. I mean, it almost felt like a Thanos movie to some
I'm
point.
so glad they did that. That they didn't have, mostly it was the Black Order coming after them, and there are parts where it was just the Black Order. But Thanos also not just being held for the end,
right?
To be the big bad. He's actually given, and that's what Marvel's been doing recently with the past like 3 or 4 films where the villains have had a prominent role.
Yeah, they're not, and if I'm not mistaken, I was talking to Digi about this earlier. This might be the best baddie that we've had in the MCU.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I like is that he's wholly like his own character. Too many Marvel movies have the problem of the villain being the protagonist but yellow.
Yeah.
And Thanos
Ant-Man?
really felt like very different from the actual the heroes.
Sure.
He didn't have similar powers to anyone.
Yeah, and that's the same with the very last movie, even Black Panther. I mean, it's basically Black Panther versus the Black Panther,
but yellow.
And I'm not a big Michael B. Jordan fan. I know people love him and and they thought he was a really good baddie.
I love Killmonger till he put on the Yellow Panther suit and they just had a fist fight.
I think if anything, like this he might stack up against like Vulture. Which a lot of that was mostly Michael killing that.
Michael Keaton, not B. Jordy.
Yes, thank you for clearing that up.
Too many Michaels.
Yeah.
So what did you think coming out of it then, I guess?
Oh, coming out of it, I thought it was fantastic. Especially how they set. We knew they were going to. This was Infinity War parts 1 and 2 before they said no, it's just Infinity War. So I think every Marvel fan going into it knew what they were in for.
Who's coming in? It makes me like, is there anybody coming into the movie that doesn't know what the hell's going on?
Oh man, read the comics.
New York Times I think did a review where they talked about how it was really confusing without introducing the characters. And they're just getting blasted for it. It's just the whole point of this movie is that it's been built up for like 20 freaking years.
Exactly. It's a little unfair because, I'd say in general, a film has got to be pretty good and stand on its own weight and merit. But this is not one of those movies.
I don't think
nothing is explained.
I don't think this is can really be considered like a movie to stand on its own merit. It really is just the season finale to a TV series, and all of the TV series episodes come out like 6 months apart and are shown in a movie theater.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Because like nothing is really understood at this point. You don't know why you're in the Asgardian ship. Why everyone's being killed by Thanos and his crew going in, and then every time you're introduced into a new group of characters, it's like you should know who the Guardians are by now,
right? And this was mostly even like it's an Avengers Guardian team up on a big scale, but then on a smaller scale, there's a lot of like 2 or 3 person teams that go throughout this. Did you guys have like a favorite team up?
Oh God.
Oh man. Okay, so from like just humor standpoint, I definitely enjoyed the Guardians and Thor.
Yeah.
And like,
which is funny because like those are the last funny movies.
Yeah, exactly.
That are more funny.
They were just hilarious through and through. But like from an actual kind of narrative standpoint, definitely think that Captain America, or not Captain America, Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like they really did the most important stuff, I feel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They killed the most OP minion.
That
he was just he had
what was that
die.
Guy's name?
I believe that was Ebony Maw.
Yeah, and he was like, I was like, this guy's gonna be Thanos 2 basically this whole movie, and then he gets caught out like, I don't know, maybe an hour in. I kind of lost track of time. That's another thing that is that people were complaining that 2 hours and 40 minutes is long for a movie, which yes, that is on the longer end. I will say it did not feel like that.
No, like I walked out of there and I'm just like,
I
thought
more.
This was long. Like, oh, right. It's like midnight now.
Yeah. I got it at like 2:30. I was like, I can watch another 2 hours of that movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
which
keep
is
going.
what we're going to get next May for the unnamed Avengers and Avengers 4, essentially. I think I agree. I really like watching Iron Man and Strange, who are both very witty and smart. And not that other characters aren't, but a lot of them aren't that of that caliber.
So like other characters are kind of witty, but these are both our science divas.
Yeah. It's not like Hulk's not super witty, but he's super smart, and Ant-Man's like super witty, but he's not super smart. Yeah,
exactly. But like Banner, he's smart, but he doesn't have that ego about him. Stark and Strange are just basically the same person.
And watching them butt heads, but also work together, like figure it out at the last second. And you said like they did the most important things. I would say probably Strange was the most important character in the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean he's the Sorcerer Supreme. He's got to be.
Yeah, and is he the strongest person we have in this?
No,
at
probably
this point,
not.
I think Thor, especially with the Stormbreaker, is still stronger, but Strange is more useful.
Okay.
Like if it came down to just a drag out brawl, like if they weren't like fighting for the Gauntlet, I'm pretty sure that Thor would hold his own better against Thanos.
Sure.
But because they have to also stop him and fix all of this reality bending stuff that he's doing, Strange is more important.
Yeah, more useful definitely. For going forward.
I know this answer, but do you guys like Thor's new hammer?
Oh, axe. It's an axe.
It's an axe thing. Sorry,
it's a hammer axe. I
love that it's partly Groot. I mean, that's got to be my favorite part.
That was so good.
Like that moment.
And unexpected.
I
did not.
Whenever he grabbed it at first, I was thinking like, oh, is it going to like fuse to his hand and Groot has to wield?
That's what I thought too.
Groot has Thor's new hammer. And speaking of like where we get that hammer, or I'm sorry, axe from, I will say that if I had to like, nix a part of this movie, get rid of it, or at least I thought it wasn't as important as the rest, it would probably be the building of that hammer. Introducing Peter Dinklage's character and that whole scene on that star that no longer works. Yeah, it's a star forge.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a little long.
I should know the name of it because it's named after an actual thing in mythology, but I can't remember.
Oh, well, I would also say it's kind of like a Dyson sphere, a little bit.
Dyson sphere.
Yeah.
It just felt that I wanted Thor to be doing more throughout most of the movie.
Yeah. That part was a little extraneous. I do agree.
But I'm okay with it because it was Thor and Raccoon, and I actually don't don't need to see more of them. They're maybe my least favorites, or at least among the bottom. Next to.
I feel like Rocket got enough screen time.
Yeah.
Thor was he was pretty important, so it makes sense that he got it.
Right.
Also, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a Game of Thrones reference, but whenever Thor was holding the little, the thing open, and he was starting to waver, Peter Dinklage dwarf shouted, "Hold it, Thor."
Oh my gosh, I didn't catch that. He said, hold it, Thor.
Hold it, Thor.
That would have been great if he just said Hodor.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Did you guys hear about the other reference? Because this is by the Russo Brothers, which did the last several Avengers films.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did anything else in the MCU.
Actually, the Russo brothers, they did Civil War.
Yeah,
and
they
Winter
worked on some
Soldier.
Cap stuff.
Got it.
And Whedon did the other Avengers.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
For that correction. Hello, Orion. The Russo brothers, though, are more importantly, at least in their early career, known for doing comedy. And so they did Community, they did Arrested Development, and a couple other things. And so the last film that they did for the MCU had an Arrested Development. What's the word I'm looking for? Reference. And if you guys remember during the Civil War fight scene.
The airport scene.
Yes, at the airport scene, there was a staircase with the family's car. What is that called? Like a car stair car.
Yeah.
And did you guys hear about the one that was in this movie? You would have had to look very close.
I saw it was in the final trailer.
Okay. Oh, it was in the trailer. Holy shit! I didn't even notice.
I've got the final trailer.
Are you talking about the Arrested Development one?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it was what's his name in Arrested? Tobias Funke.
Yeah. The Never Nude.
Never Nude, Mr. Never Nude, Mr. I blew myself. He's basically wearing those Never Nude shorts, and he's shirtless, and he's blue, and he's bald, and he's inside of a case in, is it Nowhere? Is that where they're at?
Yeah. The collector.
Yeah, where the collector resides, or at least where we. Yeah,
where
he used to reside.
He resided.
Where he resided.
My big thing was that it wasn't David Cross. It was an actor who looked a lot like David Cross.
Right. But still cool. I love that the Russo
fun.
brothers are putting shit like that in.
Yeah.
And also having them on it too also makes these movies super funny. Did you guys have there was a lot of funny parts clearly. Did you have a favorite funny part to this film? I'll start off by saying I really liked I forget his name, Spider-Man's buddy.
Teddy.
Teddy?
I believe it's Teddy.
Yeah, I really liked when he's like, "Oh shit! We're all gonna die!" Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
In the introduction of Spider-Man in the film.
Yeah.
Probably all the parts with Spider-Man. Probably when he's getting into the ship as the Iron Spider.
Yes.
Everything from that part
was
forward
awesome.
in that ship. His quips were great.
Yes. He's a great Spider-Man. What did he say to Strange? Oh, we're using our fake names.
I'm Spider-Man. Yeah.
In that case, I am Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think the funniest bits, I like a couple of just the sort of one-off quips. Those are sort of my favorite things. After Wong saves Iron Man in the Central Park.
Yes.
And he just takes off and he's chasing after him and he just shouts back, "Wong, you're invited to my wedding."
Yeah, and it was super quick. Yeah.
Another one I like is after everybody kind of touches down in Wakanda for the big final battle, and then Rocket and Bucky kind of exchange little tech stuff. And then he's just like, "I'm gonna take that arm."
I was so waiting for it. That was a good callback. I have a question for you guys. What about the overall plot? I mean, we're all on the same page here. We all liked it.
Oh yeah.
How do you think it worked though? Was it what you expected? Was it well done? Was it poorly done?
I am honestly surprised at how well they managed to pull it off. I didn't think they would be able to do it. Everybody got a big moment. Nobody felt underutilized except maybe Bucky.
Sure,
he didn't really do much.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And with how many characters in this movie, there's no way you were going to get all of them.
Yeah. But I think it was great, especially when we're talking about Thanos' whole motivation.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, okay, he's going to kill half the universe to solve population growth, exponential population growth. And I'm thinking
it's
like...
an interesting thing to be like interested in.
It is, yeah. And it also seemed like a very temporary fix. But when they bring back like him talking to Gamora about... you should see your planet now. You know, everything's thriving. Life is beautiful at this moment. I'm kind of like, it's filling in these holes in his plan, and I'm finding the motivation a lot more palatable.
Yeah,
you know, it's interesting that you say that because I wasn't able to digest it. If we're still on the food theme, his motivations at first, but I guess as we're saying it out loud, I forgot that he had mentioned that Gamora's home planet is now thriving and it's beautiful, which is just also making me think about where Thor ended up in this weird dreamscape heaven thing, and it kind of sounds like that, like an oasis of some sort. But I would still say overall, I'm not super on his. I mean, nobody's on his side clearly, but I'm not sold yet. I guess fully.
I gotta say, it's still definitely a lot more of a relatable motive than in the comics, where he's basically killing half the universe for a potential booty call.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm excited because I'm thinking that's the setup. What gets like he doesn't know death now, but what gets her attention? Killing half the universe.
Yeah.
So, well, that's a good thing to go. Like, what are your thoughts of where do you think the second movie's going to go?
Oh, jeez.
So the second movie, I feel like definitely is going to introduce Adam Warlock, who we saw teased at the end of Guardians 2, because he was a really big player in the Infinity Gauntlet comic series.
Okay.
In the comics, basically, Nebula steals the Infinity Gauntlet and resets time so that everyone can fight Thanos, but then she gets like corrupted by it and they have to fight Nebula. And that might be where they're going with this one. I don't know. It doesn't really seem very likely considering the Nebula in the movies that we have.
Yeah, they mentioned from what I've read that Nebula was she was the tour de force in the second part, or would be the tour de force in the second part, but because she's kind of an extraneous character, they probably won't put her at the forefront and to be the
she's
big
a lot more
hero.
Sympathetic in the movies than she is in the comics.
I see.
Yeah.
In the comics, she's pretty much an out-and-out villain.
Okay. I'm going to say for the second movie, I think it's, I was just thinking about it while you guys were talking, I think it's threefold, or at least three characters that are going to be the most important. Captain Marvel, obviously, that was the teaser at the very end of the movie. We see this, it's called like a super pager or something. It's in the comics, I guess, that Samuel Jackson's character has. And it's pager for several reasons, or I guess because like it's supposed to take place, or it's like some sort of time travel thing to the 90s, where the Captain Marvel film is supposed to take place next year, I believe.
Yeah, I assumed that would just be taking place at the time, but it might be a time thing.
Right.
I don't think Captain Marvel doesn't have any powers that have to do with time in the comics. Like, she basically shoots lasers and punches hard and flies.
Right. Well, the time thing is going to be with the time stone, most likely. And so that's where I think Strange's part's going to come in, or at least Strange and his men, or the people that he works with. And so Strange is, I think, the next person I'd say is going to keep this moving forward, especially because he's the only one that knows the plans. There was that very important scene that I wouldn't say it was glossed over, but it was hinted at. That he knew what was going to happen because he had gone through 4 million permutations of what was going to happen. And at the end of the movie, he clearly gives the stone over, even though he had said to Iron Man that
like, I will protect this stone if it means everyone else dies.
Right. And that was not the case. And so he knows what's happening.
And then as he's disintegrating, he says, I'm sorry, this is the only way.
Right.
It's very clear that this is all according to plan. Also, I swear I saw this, but everyone else I watched it with did not catch it. I swear Thanos is disintegrating in the last shot.
Really? I didn't catch it.
I am.
That's interesting.
I've only seen it once. No one else I was sitting with saw it, but like right at the end, he sort of like he starts to like disappear. It's like the last
I wonder
second.
If you're right, I wonder a couple of things. Does the Gauntlet, or I guess if you're wrong, does the Gauntlet protect him? Because he's the one that created it. But the thing there was that it does not choose who dies and who lives.
Right.
Yeah.
It was by design,
random.
completely random.
Right. And the other thing is, does the Gauntlet will it still exist? Like, does it go away with his body?
I can't remember. Did Bucky's arm just drop off?
Nah.
No, it went with him, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
That's a good
I
point.
have a feeling that if that is the case, what would probably happen is that the Gauntlet would disintegrate, but the stones would remain because they're too powerful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that I forgot who the third. In my head, it was the third person that is going to kind of get the ball rolling for the second movie. And so, what I say, Strange, Captain Marvel,
Iron Man, probably.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Actually, people are speculating that Iron Man is probably going to be the saving grace, not the saving grace, but he's going to be the ultimate hero if you had to choose one, the most legendary.
Yeah.
Because
or Cap.
or Cap. I'm gonna say though, I agree more so with Marvel because of this like cyclical idea of like he started it all,
And he's
Oh yeah.
and he ended it all.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And also that it would stand to reason that the reason, like why Doctor Strange gave up the Time Stone is because he saw in his future that Iron Man was vital to saving everything.
you're right.
More
Yeah.
important than the Time Stone being
Itself.
protected.
Right. I will say I was very shocked that they got rid of all of the new guard and kept the old guard.
I know, like, but at the
I
same
think
time,
everybody was
everybody
shocked.
was expecting all of the old characters to die, so
Right.
it's a really big
Yeah.
subversion.
Yeah.
Like
That-
once it started happening, like Bucky was the first one that we saw, and I'm just like, oh, this is when they're gonna kill off all the old characters, and then
Yeah.
like right after that is like Scarlet Witch, and then it
Yeah.
cuts to the other planet. We see like all
all
the
the
Guardians,
Guardians.
Everybody.
and
Yeah.
Peter, and like for a second there, like before Nebula just shows up in the background of the shot, I'm like, oh god, that's worse than killing off Tony Stark. He is alone on this planet, and
Yeah.
everyone else died.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
It's just him
yeah.
and Nebula. Everyone else that was on that planet with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Died. Yeah.
It's very hard to, as a writing standpoint, and to justify everything, to have half the universe disappear, but not make it feel cheap that you're keeping these core characters. You know,
Yeah,
sure.
So having to pick those must have been like an insanely difficult task of who's going to disappear,
Yeah.
who's going to stay.
I will say, if there's one problem I had with that, is that they kind of made a mistake of picking characters that already have confirmed sequels, because we all know that this can't possibly stick.
Sure,
we know
that-
there's going to be another Spider-Man.
That
We know
goes
there's
into
gonna be another
Yeah.
meta narrative, and that's tough to work. Like, there's no way they can work around that.
Absolutely.
But I liked that they surprised us all, because I don't think that was the general consensus.
And I just want to say, like, I called it. Whenever we did the Infinity War trailer reaction, I called it that it was going to end with the snap, and half the people were going to die.
Right.
You're right.
Go back on YouTube. Quote me.
Although
on that.
to say that, I do think everyone who died before the snap is like permadead now.
Yeah, probably. So
Yeah.
Vision, Loki.
Yeah. If that was reversed, I would be very upset.
I have one prediction that I actually have not read about, surprisingly, is that I think Vision will be back, because I think that what is the name of the woman who is working on him in the lab?
Oh God, I
man.
can't remember. Her
Yeah,
name.
but she's a part of
Black Panther's
Wakanda.
sister, the
Panther's sister.
best
Oh,
Disney
Shuri.
princess.
I'm sorry?
Shuri?
Shuri? Yeah, that sounds right.
yeah.
Shuri.
Best Disney.
Because
princess.
I have a
She did-
feeling.
okay.
I have a feeling that she had finished, maybe potentially like taking his brain or like some permutation
Like-
of him.
unwiring the stone.
Yeah, so she didn't get the stone clearly, but she may have been able to like save him as like data, because he is a computer basically.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, he
interesting.
was an AI first.
Yeah, and so I have a feeling that we might still have him in a USB or something.
Maybe
Like-
a couple USBs.
Yeah, a couple
All right,
USBs,
we're not
yeah,
there
yeah.
yet.
Like at the very end, there'll be something, and then it like Iron Man will be like doing some big fight or whatever, and then he like his suit gets like blasted or whatever, and Friday gets deleted, and he's just like, oh man, I can't operate the targeting thing without having an AI, and then like Jarvis pops in, it's just like, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we want to wrap? Do you have any more comments, or do you guys want to start wrapping this up and let me know? What am I doing here? I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we should wrap it up. I think we said a lot of good stuff here.
Sure, yeah. So we have predictions for the future, and for sure overall, like this was clearly too. The critics are also raving about it. The something that I am hearing a lot though is that a lot of people thought it was potentially like too much, like it was like all the time driving and really really pushing forward that like high action, high octane feel. I'm okay with that.
I feel like there was a couple of downtime moments, because I can think of 2 spots at least. One whenever my fiance went to the bathroom, and one whenever I went to the bathroom, and neither of us really missed much.
Those are 2, yeah.
Two spots.
2 spots.
She went during the bit whenever it was just kind of Scarlet Witch and Vision making goo-goo eyes at each other in Scotland. And then I left after like Captain America and everyone like rendezvous, and they're just kind of like sitting there and being like, this is a really bad thing that's happening, isn't it?
Right.
Oh man.
I like, again, also like, I guess one of those would be the downtime with Thor. What else? There was
a little downtime.
Yeah, a little bit with like leading up into them deciding to like split up the party, and her saying you have to kill me if there's like a couple of things.
You miss a lot of good jokes, but not much plot if you left the Guardians and Iron Man and Strange on that planet after they fought and realized they were on the same side.
Sure.
It was basically just Peter Quill and Tony Stark dick waving their egos at each other for a while. Nothing really plot relevant happened.
I do like when the Guardians met Iron Man and Strange in the ship. Who the fuck are you? No, who are you?
Yeah, that was good.
Wait a minute, you're not working with Thanos? Why would I work with Thanos?
I hate that guy. Yeah, that's good stuff. Any last words, Blacksmith?
No, go see it. I can tell you. Can I throw a little shade here?
Oh, please.
I'm getting seen a lot of shit from DC fanboys. Who just don't like this movie because it's a Marvel movie. Yeah.
I mean, they're DC fanboys, and like
they don't matter.
They're just like, oh, Avengers Infinity War was a really bad crossover. It's just like,
the problem is they make it too good.
It was a good movie.
But I gotta say, I went to very early showings of both Justice League and Avengers 3.
Okay.
And Justice League was, that's a good movie. There you go.
Yay.
Everyone in the audience.
I appreciate the budget that went into this here.
The people in my audience, at least a dozen times, stood up and cheered.
Oh,
really?
God,
like
there were so many moments. Like, people just showed up on screen, and the audience
lost their shit.
Doctor Strange appears on screen, everyone flips out.
Yeah. When people are flipping out, like I'm always like, I do this a lot, like hands on face. I like sometimes I start tearing up. Like when I really liked the soundtrack. We talked about a little bit about this, did you? And I like what they did with like small hints about what the next scene is going to be. Like when they first showed Wakanda, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome. I wasn't expecting the entire final battle scene to be there. I'm glad it was. Not just another New York fight, like every other movie.
I mean, they just built that set. They have to keep using it.
Gotta keep using it, yeah. And as far as I understand, they filmed this back to back, right? With the next
Pretty
Infinity
much back
film.
to back.
Yes. And so this is all ready to go. They're probably in editing phase, maybe. But otherwise, what do we got next month? We got Ant-Man.
We have Ant-Man next month.
Yes,
Deadpool this month, just a couple weeks from now.
Right?
Not this month. This is still April.
Oh, is it still April? 3 weeks from now. Okay.
But there's a lot of stuff going on, and so if you wanted more Marvel, you're getting it very soon. End of the year seems going to be a little. Oh no, you got Venom in October.
Venom.
Yeah, it's just like nonstop.
It's gonna be weird though that there's not going to be a Star Wars movie at the end of the year.
That is weird.
A little weird.
Solo early in the year was surprising to me.
I know it's not the movie we're talking about here, but I am worried that Solo's gonna be a stinker.
Oh yeah, it's gonna suck, but I'm gonna see it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see it.
I'm probably gonna, but like I feel I'm tired of Star Wars, and I think this is gonna be just objectively bad, and not just bad for a Star Wars like Last Jedi and Force Awakens were.
Very possible. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know what? Tune in to youtube.com/Color Circuit to see that review when that comes out.
Yeah.
We'll hear all of the
plug the channel.
Plug the channel. We're also live every day on twitch.tv/Color Circuit Live.
Also,
Mr. Blacksmith here.
YouTube. You don't need to give them the URL. You can just say subscribe.
Subscribe. I always miss that part. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Watch Blacksmith every Friday at 7 p.m. for Ludum Tempest tabletop games. Facebook.com/Color Circuit Live, Instagram at color.circuit.live, and Twitter at CLR Circuit Live. Thank you, Blacksmith, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Digi, for hanging out.
Woo!
And my name is Dylan.
To be on microphone. I have a lot of stuff to say, but I can't say anything from back here.
Yeah, it's the producer's seat. So we will see you guys next time.
All right. Oh.